In 2021, then Prime Minister Lee first telegraphed a bill on racial harmony in his National Day rally. At the last Committee of Supply debate for the MHA, I had asked for an update on this proposed Maintenance of Racial Harmony bill, and I'm happy to see this well thought through and comprehensive bill before us today. The most important aspect of racial harmony is the day-to-day actions each of us takes to build bridges with people of different races. The government has policies that nudge us in this direction, including ethnic quotas for public housing and the requirement for minority representation in contesting in GRCs for our elections. Most of us have close friends of all races and understand the customs and traditions of one another. Yet, notwithstanding the racial harmony we generally enjoy in Singapore, there remain issues beneath the surface, and we cannot take our racial harmony for granted. In my view, legislation remains a necessary tool to promote and maintain racial harmony. We have had offences in relation to racial harmony in the Penal Code, in the old sections 298 and 298A. And the substance of these offences remain in this bill. The old language of section 298 of the Penal Code that made it an offence to wound racial harmony and feelings of any person has been replaced with language making it an offence to insult, vilify, denigrate, threaten, or abuse another on the basis of race. In my view, the new language adds clarity by specifying the actual actions that constitute the offence. The offences in section 298A of promoting enmity between the races and engaging in acts prejudicial to the maintenance of harmony remain. While prosecutions under these sections are not common, I think they send an important signal on what is unacceptable conduct. There are also three important new tools in this bill that provide the MHA more powers to better calibrate and deal with the potential threats to racial harmony. The first is the introduction of a restraining order regime, which allows MHA to act swiftly against acts that may threaten racial harmony. This seems to be an intermediate step that allows swift action without the need to prosecute the wrongdoer. I note that these orders will be subject to review by the Presidential Council of Racial and Religious Harmony and the President, which, in my view, is an important check. A similar regime exists in relation to religious harmony under the Maintenance of Religious Harmony Act, and I think it is sensible for those principles to apply here as well. The second tool is the Community Remedial Initiative, which gives the MHA the option to offer reparative measures in lieu of prosecution to offenders. Now, this gives the MHA a more calibrated set of tools so that less serious offenders may be given a chance to mend their ways and avoid a criminal conviction. I will be interested to know how the MHA intends to apply these measures. I think the MHA will probably need to develop a set of interventions and procedures, and there will also probably be a need to have skilled professionals to both help raise awareness and encourage amity between the offender and the community. The aim of these provisions seem to go beyond a simple corrective work order type regime, and building bridges and amity is much more difficult than dishing out punishment. So I look forward to see how the MHA will apply these powers. It will also be important to develop some internal guidelines, at least, on when this discretion will be exercised. Though in my view, it would be best to have this as the first port of call for most first-time offenders, unless it was a particularly serious offense. The third set of measures to safeguard racial harmony relates to foreign influence and requires designated race-based entities to have a leadership composed primarily of Singapore citizens and to disclose foreign donations and affiliations. Now, I declare that I'm involved in a voluntary capacity in a number of race-related charities in Singapore. I'm advisor to the Board of Trustees of the Singapore Indian Development Association, and I'm a trustee of the Singapore Indian Education Trust and a trustee of the Singapore Indian Fine Arts Society. Now, I note from MOS Sun's speech that charities have not been listed amongst the entities that MHA intends to designate at this juncture, and this should be a relief for many of them. As a matter of principle, though, I believe that while race-based groups play an important role in preserving culture and tradition, it is important for Singapore-based groups to be rooted in our values as well. The requirement of a largely Singaporean leadership supports this objective. I also agree that foreign donations should be disclosed, though I think we should also send the message that there is nothing wrong with getting donations from foreigners per se, and especially for charitable institutions. Many charitable groups may benefit from raising funds from a larger group of donors, including foreigners, and the beneficiaries of these charities are ultimately going to be primarily Singaporeans and PRs. Mr. Speaker, I think that this is a well-thought-through bill that introduces important new tools for MHA to continue to protect our racial harmony in a more calibrated way. I support this bill.